fish heads, welcome back to another Waterbox Wednesday.
Yes, the best day of the week. We're back on Wednesdays now. And we got a pretty exciting show, I think.
Yes, very, very cool show, you guys. And as always, like I said, if you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. All of that helps us out tremendously here on at Waterbox, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, so if you tuned in last week, you'll know that we received the MarineX 110.4 into the studio. If you didn't watch last week, shame on you. You should be tuning in every week.
It's mandatory.
It's mandatory, how dare you. No, and so the next step is we have to plan our aquascape. And we've done a few episodes before on, choosing your aquascape and how to. So you're gonna follow along with the build of the 110 with us. And we gotta plan that. So what we've done is really bring in from our user group. So I'm gonna tell people, if you're not part of our Waterbox Aquariums user group, you are missing out, because when we do usually videos or shows or photos on here, we're pulling from the user group. Our
owner spotlights
from the user group.
Mm-hmm.
So we pull from there a lot for inspiration and all of that. So we have gone through and picked out some of our favorite and unique different aquascapes from that group to kind of show you. So, what your goal is. All right, I got my first aquarium. What in the world do I do for aquascaping? I have a blank slate. I don't know what to do. And as we say for a lot of stuff, find something that you like the way it's been done and emulate it.
Yes.
Find someone who has an aquarium that you love the way they did it. Find out how they did it. You use that as your baseline. Same with aquascaping. But oh my God, I love this aquarium and how it's set up and the rock work. How did they scape it? What did they use? Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff. So
that's one of the best things about the Facebook group is that you have thousands we have over 20,000 members now, but there's thousands and thousands of aquariums that you can use as inspiration, and it's a great resource because you not only can get inspiration, but you can also engage with other Waterbox owners and get a lot of good education from that. So yeah. I do want to mention real quick, we are giving away, again, we gave away gift cards last week. Yep. We're giving away 2 $100 gift cards today. So engage with us in the comments, whether that's telling us where you're from, what Waterbox you have, but also ask us questions, because we typically try to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the stream. So
yep.
A few things that are mandatory: liking the stream. I'm just kidding,
absolutely mandatory.
And subscribe to the channel, you guys, because we do this every week, and we do it live so that we can engage with you guys and answer your questions, so we can all get better at keeping these aquariums.
Yeah, so definitely currency to win for gift cards. Be active in the chat, make some friends, ask questions, because like I said, we're going to do a Q&A after we go through all this. So, definitely get in there. 2 $100 gift cards, you can't go wrong. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the different aquascapes that we've pulled from the group. We're going to talk about the differences and how they did it and that kind of stuff, just to give you guys, maybe you're like, oh, I hate my rockscape and you want to redo it. This might give you some inspiration, or you've gotten a new water box. Let's check some of these out. This is one of my favorites.
Martin's Aquascape. And these all came from our group? Is that correct?
All from the Facebook group. So this is a peninsula, and peninsulas are notoriously not difficult to aquascape, but they take a lot more planning. And I think probably a lot more redos whenever you're figuring out your aquascaping, because you're looking at it from 3 sides. Whereas a standard aquarium, you're seeing it pretty much mostly from the front, a few short side views. But this is a see-through, and like this one, you have a lot of open space. Because this is important, because you do want to use it as a see-through to the room on either side. So you don't want a tall, skinny rock wall. You want a lot of open space here. And you can see with those arches, there is a lot of swim-through space, so it's going to be great for your active fish. But you can also see a lot of what's behind the aquarium. And even once the corals fill in here, you're going to have a lot of open space that's really good for a flow too. You don't want to jam-pack your rock really tight, because when you have your tank getting more mature and corals and fish and stuff, you're going to have a lot more stuff build up in all those areas that the rock is kind of piled together. And you're going to have a lot more debris and detritus, and that's going to affect your water quality.
Yeah. That's pretty cool how much sand you can see. I like that a lot.
We'll throw a question up right here since
Oh.
we're...
Got a question. Do you recommend gluing the rock?
If at all possible, I don't. I try to, and we use CaribSea Life Rock, which I think has a lot of connection points that you can kind of wedge that give a good hold. If you don't need a scape that is like this one long reaching arm that could not be stabilized in any way and you need to do it, go ahead. Keep it minimal, because what happens is, and at some point it's going to happen, a coral's going to fall. A big turbo snail is behind a rock upside down and is going to die if you don't save it. And unfortunately, say if a fish dies and its body is behind a rock. If you have your massive structure glued together, getting to any of those areas can be extremely difficult. Also, if you decide later, like, okay, this was great, I thought it was, but I really want to improve my rock, breaking it apart, if it's a glued or epoxy, is going to be a lot more difficult.
You can end up doing more damage than you were originally trying to do.
Right. So I try to wedge and use just, I don't know, physics in my favor. I don't know if that's the right word for it. Minus gluing when I don't absolutely have to.
Now looking at this scape, I don't know what kind of rock that is, so I don't know exactly, honestly, what they used to assemble that, but I would imagine with that complex of a scape, they had to use some sort of cement, right? Like
They did. So
surely-
you can tell on some of the upper, like, flat crops that
You
are
can
kind
see,
of
like, the
teetering
pink-
up. They are epoxied into place. So they took basically some shelf type rock and epoxied it onto like an arch, which is okay, because even if this whole thing was glued together, you could really access anywhere around that rock because it is so open.
Right, right.
So just keep in mind, if you are epoxying or gluing, don't make it to where you can't get to every area of your aquarium if you need to be, because things happen.
Yep.
They just happen. So, just tips of kind of when planning it, don't go crazy with the glue or epoxy if you don't have to.
Cool. Do you want to mention a lot of people joining us? If you haven't already, smash that like button. Helps us out tremendously. We are giving away 2 $100 gift cards at the end of the stream, so engage with us in the comments.
Yep.
That's why we're here live, so definitely take advantage of that. And we'll take as many questions as we can get to at the end as well.
So here's one that you see is pretty popular. Who is this?
This is Leo.
Leo, awesome.
He actually won our gift card last week.
Oh!
Leo, apparently Leo won a gift card last week. So.
See, Leo watched
maybe
the show
Leo's with-
and posted in the
maybe he's
group.
with us
so
today.
hopefully he's watching again today. But this one you see a lot is like kind of 2 separated islands, which does give the same thing, a good water flow and really good fish swim room. Take into consideration the fish you're going to have. If they're active swimmers, they are going to benefit from being able to weave in and around the rock and have more open column even once the corals grow in. And this one here, he's got some nice shelf and kind of arch pieces that give that bigger but open kind of look to it.
I wonder what kind of rock that is too.
Looks similar to the other rock.
It does.
If anyone knows what type of rock
Yeah.
it is, I'm not sure. It looks a lot like CaribSea, but just in a white form, as far as just having some nice shape and arches to it. And you're gonna see, like, popular now is not big bulky scapes. It used to be, and I guess things have changed quite a lot, whenever you could only get base rock and like live rock, which were kind of big boulderish chunks. You didn't have this artificially made rock that had these beautiful shapes,
Right.
that you can really make these intricate aquascapes into.
Colby's asking, I have a Waterbox Cube 10 waiting to get set up. How high is too high for the rock scape?
At most, you want it going 3/4 of the way up. But the thing is consider, even at 3/4 on a Cube 10, you want to put like a torch coral or anything that has height to it on that top rock. It's going to be like the water surface.
Yeah.
And it's going to really have no room. So it's almost on that kind of aquarium, just because you're a little bit more space limited with a Cube 10, is almost aim for like half to a little bit more, and just put your taller stuff on the top, so there's still going to be plenty of open room. Now, if you're doing all zoos or something like that that's flat to the rock, probably 3/4 would be good. So really plan it according to kind of like your idea of what you're going to stock it with. I know that changes, but whatever you kind of think you're going for. This one's cool.
David's Aquascape. That looks like I can't see the sides of the cabinet, but I'm going to get, That looks like a Reef LX to me. What do you think?
It is a Reef LX, I can tell.
Yeah.
Yep, so that's Reef LX. That's a big boy. I'm about to say that's long. That's gonna be the 7 or 8 foot, I would say, on that one. At the end, it almost looks like the Loch Ness monster, like the big arch.
Yeah.
But you see here,
More of that style of rock, though. It seems to be really popular these days.
yeah, I don't know if mine isn't really working to like see comments because I don't know what happened, but
We got Martin Kester on Facebook. He's like, yay, mine made it on live.
oh, awesome.
I see Marco's Island rock or Marco's rock.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because Marco has a really nice rock. It's the dry white rock or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one you see is the same concept. Good open flow. Still gives you a lot of space for your corals. You know, and depending on what you want to do, like this one has a lot of open sandbed area. But if you see in like a group, a lot of people are really big into like meat corals and donuts and trackies. You need all that open sand space too to kind of put those on there. So, you know, this is why like looking at others' aquariums to see what your style you want to keep is going to help you so much from day one, because you're like, oh, if you know her from our group, Andrea, she's got so many beautiful like donut and meat corals and stuff like that. And you're like, if that's the tank I want to have, you're going to need to design your layout of your rock a lot different. Like she has a lot of sand space open because of all those type of corals.
I use super glue and mortar for building it.
Okay, yeah, mix of both. Yeah, they do have their own kind of special niche as far as like epoxy versus glue. Usually the heavier pieces are going to need the epoxy because it does do more like cement when it dries.
The one thing I do notice these days with aquascapes is that they're far more creative and open than they used to be, let's say 15 years ago.
Yeah, because
even 10 years ago, because there's so many more options. It used to be you'd buy a 45-pound box of rock and hope you got something good in it.
yeah, there was no cool shapes. You didn't really get arches. I mean, Tonga branch used to be big before it got shut down, and that was like your most branchy, archy kind of part you could get. Besides that, you're like Fiji rock was like big chunks and stuff. So there was none of these arches and shelves and shapes that you could kind of decide on.
CaribSea has really made it very easy to aquascape. And if you guys don't know, we do offer we've designed different bundles for every Waterbox system with the CaribSea Life Rock, so check that out.
I did. Okay, if you're in our group, someone actually, it was funny because someone earlier posted that they got their bundle of CaribSea rock for their aquarium and how much rock is involved. And you will find when you get one of our bundles is you're going to have extra rock because we want you to have all
Options.
the choices.
Yeah.
You know, because not everyone's going to build it. So we send you like just the bare minimum, enough of the shapes and like amount that you need. Everyone's going to have the same pieces to work with. By having more options in there, it allows you to really build and have, oh, I need this, and swap it around. And if you have extra rock, get another water box or sell it.
Get another water box, toss it, put it in your sump.
Yeah, I mean, it can sit in the box for however long.
Yeah.
So I did notice someone saying, wow, I got a lot of rock with this bundle. And the CaribSea is great price for the amount that you get, but you will have extra, and that's intended so that you have as much creative diversity of pieces that you need to create your own aquascape.
Yeah. So just want to mention again for anybody that maybe is just joining us, I know you just pulled that up, Keenan. We're giving away $200 gift cards at the end of the stream, so stick around, ask your questions, leave your comments, and we'll pick 2 winners at the end of the stream.
Yep. All right. So this one you can see is using the CaribSea Life Rock. One of my favorite things about the CaribSea Life Rock versus others is that it is nice, it is purple, it is already got that deep established color. I love what you can do with other rocks, but I don't love white, bright rocks because you go through about 6 months of phases where you get all kinds of nuisance algae that's going to grow on it before you even start to see that speck of coralline. It takes a really long time for rock to become purple. So that's one big benefit, I think, from CaribSea. Also that it does have dormant bacteria on it. So when it goes in the water, it actually does help establish your tank and put some good bacteria in there. But as you can see, so starting from day one, you've got like nice deep colored rock. This one I like, it's very simple. And in this shape of an aquarium, it provides perfect flow. You got a big cut through in the middle. You can put a power head in there. And there's still a lot of open water space in here. We've done very similar scapes in some of our cubes or smaller all-in-ones before, and they work fantastic for having a lot of spots for corals to go and not block up the flow in a smaller aquarium.
Yep. Excellent. So we got a question from Burley. Do you think I could comfortably fit a 36-inch mega arch and a 24 XL and a Reef 290.6?
So I'm pretty sure that's exactly what we used in our
The
Reef
lobby?
LX build at the old studio.
Okay.
So we did a big series. If you go on the YouTube channel, it's
That was a 7-foot though. You think would it fit
was that 7 foot?
at the old studio?
it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was 7 foot. You could fit. You could fit though. It depends on how much space you want between
True.
islands and stuff. But I'm pretty sure that's the two that we used. And there's a whole video series, so you can watch the scaping of it on one of the episodes, and it's Guide to Large Reef Aquariums. So check that out on the YouTube channel, but I'm pretty sure those are the exact two that I used as like your main pieces. And that one turned out awesome. I liked having those big arches, a lot of open space. It was a foot longer, but I think you could probably do it.
We had a pretty big gap in the side.
There was a big gap in the center and plenty
and on
of
the
room.
sides. Yeah. Next Aquascape coming from Kevin. This looks like a Marine X 110.4.
It does. So this looks like, I can't tell just because there's a lot of blue in it, but does look like it is CaribSea rock as well. You can kind of follow in that whole two islands separated. You generally try to not just have one big bundle of rock. So separating it up does give a lot more space. You would think more rock equals more space for corals, but it actually doesn't. Because whenever you're escaping, you want to consider that the highest point of your rock, anything below it, if you have larger corals that are going up top, is going to be shaded. So necessarily having like a big pile doesn't give you more space. Having more arches and areas that kind of go away from each other in open space actually allows you to place more stuff and then not have dead rock space underneath that no coral can go. So this is utilizing it really well because you know we don't have a lot of rock in here, but it looks like there's a ton of space to put corals on here.
Very nice. Rocking the Aspen stand, it looks like. This looks like an all-in-one 25. With a Radion.
You go, boy. Yeah, so got to give the love to the all-in-ones and the smaller ones. Looks like a Peninsula 25 here. And with peninsulas, it is important to keep that scape open, A, for flow reasons, but also for the viewing. You know, so here you can see laid out really nicely, plenty of sand space, and the flow is going to keep to really where not a lot of buildup is going to happen, and plenty of space for corals and stuff to grow in.
Yeah, and peninsulas are naturally more difficult to escape, right? And that doesn't change with the all-in-one 25. It probably gets even a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, because it's smaller. And I think with a peninsula especially, less is more.
For sure.
Because you don't need as much rock. You don't need to build it up as much because you have two sides that you're going to be place coral on. So you need it smaller amount of rock because you're going to have coral on both sides of it that can grow out. Whereas like a front facing, generally you can kind of like phase it back. And not much is going to be on the back side of those rocks because you're not going to be able to see it.
Right.
Could you put stuff way back there? Yeah, but it's going to be out of view. Not really any aesthetically pleasing reason to.
Right.
So I think peninsulas, you're going to see a lot less use of rock in there. Just always keep in mind if you're not using enough rock, that you want to have either some rock in your sump or like bio bricks or something to make up for that since that's your biological.
Mr. Tapioca is asking, those tanks look like they had a lot of near vertical arches. What kind of corals would you recommend attaching to those sheer surfaces? That's a good question.
I don't think they're probably as vertical arches as it looks because it's not a 3D kind of view of it. But I find a lot of times if you have a like a more vertical aquascape, is it tends to be a lot of SBS because the SBS grow out. So you kind of like place them and they're just going to fill in that area. And they take up more space than like if you put in a group of zoanthids. They're staying on that rock area. You know, torch corals just gonna go up and out.
Yeah.
But like a lot of your SPS corals, you know, when the colony grows, it's growing out, you know, and the tabling ones grow huge. So you really need that big open space around it. And when a big SPS is up here, you're not having much else under here because
Right.
there's just no light and there's no flow.
Thank you guys for the questions. This guy went all out.
I love this. And we talk about this a lot in our aquascaping videos.
Not this guy. Linda went all out on it.
Is this Linda Reeves?
Is Linda Carroll?
Yeah, Reed.
Yes, she won on Blue Friday.
The grand prize?
One of our big gift cards on it.
Okay.
She's very active in the group. Check her out. But I love to see this because this is so planned out and perfect. And we talk about doing this a lot. And we talk about it in our aquascaping video for the large reef aquarium. We'll talk about it in next week with Aquascaping the Marine X. Lay out your footprint.
Yeah.
You can come up with the coolest aquascapes and make the coolest arches and all this stuff, and then you go to put it in and you realize I'm touching the glass, I have no sand space, this doesn't fit with the overflow. So you see this is actually gridded out into quadrants and I love it. And you can see the overflow box, height. She's going for the 2/3 rule, I can see here.
I do also want to
Freshwater
know-
people do this a lot.
Yeah.
Grid it out.
I do want to mention too, if you guys notice, she's doing this on the crate of the aquarium. So she actually
That's what we tell people to do.
Yeah, you tape it out, and then she has some of the cardboard too from the crate of the aquarium. So before you rush into just getting it set up, I will tell you that this is one of the biggest reasons I like this method of doing your aquascaping beforehand. Is you don't want to try to aquascape inside the tank, because what's going to happen is you're going to scratch the glass.
Yep.
You're going to potentially chip the glass if you're banging rock into it.
It's just so
do
much
as
harder
much as
to
you can
work in.
outside. Yeah.
And if you look at the aquascaping video from A Guide to Large Reef Aquariums, just search it in the YouTube channel. We do this, not with the grid marks, but we take
Yeah.
the lid, the table, like we talk about how like measuring out, so you know how much sand space do you have on your sand, how far away are you from your glass, which is important because if you put it right up against, your magnet's not getting past it. As things grow in, now
Right.
you have a part of your glass that you can't clean, which is horrifying.
Especially for me, I can't stand that.
Yeah, if you're too tall, too short on your rock, and then you have all this
Yeah.
open space. So this is like the ultimate way to plan your aquascaping. And a lot of the ones we show have probably done this outside of the aquarium, but this photo actually kind of gives a really good visual on how people achieve this. And like you said, it's done with the packaging that your aquarium comes in.
Yeah.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Your aquarium's packaged in your perfect aquascaping.
Yeah, I'm
like,
sure
platform.
that was just the lid. Actually, it was. I could tell.
Yeah.
That's just the lid of the crate that the aquarium came in.
Which is a little bit larger than the actual size of the aquarium, so it gives you space to kind of mark it off.
Which she obviously measured it, probably exactly to probably measured the tank inside the crate or something.
Yeah, you got the overflow box in there and everything. Great job, Linda.
Yeah.
But that's like the perfect example of like truly planning it out and getting that desired. And then you can take as much time as you want, just looking at it from all the different angles.
Yeah.
When it's in the tank and you've got your sand and then you're starting to worry about like I need to get this filled, you can feel a little bit more rushed and not as planned. And like you said, or damage your water box, which would be the worst.
Yep. Would you rather have a bare bottom or a thin layer of sand or a deep sand bed? I know Jess's answer.
About 1 inch of sand, all I need.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. I've done bare bottom before. I can't stand the look of it. I've done it because of high flow SBS. I'd rather deal with some divots in the sand because of high flow. In the 20 plus years I've been doing aquariums,
Aesthetically, you do not like bare bottom.
I can't stand it. Yeah. No, it just doesn't look natural. Like I want my aquarium to look like a slice of the ocean, and I even
agree.
went for like growing encrusting Montes on the thing, and then you can eventually kind of fill it in with color, but I don't think it ever looks as
But it
natural.
still doesn't-
Sorry for people who do bare bottom.
No, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it serves
I did
it serves
starboard. I
its
did all
function,
that. Yeah.
right? But yeah, I agree. It doesn't look as nice. Even with the corals growing on the bottom, I don't necessarily like that personally.
Yeah, it's just
'Cause it
more of a
just-
very sterile kind of look to it. And I think that your sand provides a lot when it comes to balance. Calcium alkalinity and also biological. There's so much surface area in that sand bed that is beneficial stuff and like critters and organisms that attribute to your ecosystem. Deep sand bed, that used to be my go-to, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
It was 3+ inches sand bed on every aquarium that I set up. That's what I told my customers to do. But it's not really found to be beneficial long-term enough to offset just a simple 1-inch sand bed, easy to clean with your cleanup crew, doesn't take a lot of space, doesn't get little pockets of gas and stuff like that like a deep sand bed would, and it looks great.
Yeah. There's one thing that you guys will notice when me and Jess talk about aquariums is we're trying to give you the easiest way to go about it, right? There's a million different ways to go about it.
Can you successfully do bare bottom or deep sand bed?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is the easiest, most functional? It's going to be about 1 inch. Move on with your day.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm with Jess. I hate bare bottoms. Sand looks more natural.
It is, and I did try. This was, oh my God, how many years ago was that one? It was my full-blown SBS system, and I gave it a good go for like 6-8 months, and I was like, I can't. And you have to like go in and siphon your dirt in the back corner, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's too much. Got a tank from Alex Ramos. I'm gonna guess that's a
150.4.
Oh yeah, 150.4.
That's my guess.
Yes, right before.
Sorry,
Right out of
I
your
took
mouth.
Rich's
That's all right.
thunder.
That's all right.
I like this one a lot.
Looks
You
kind of
can-
like hydros up there though.
that is actually, yeah.
Hydro 32s.
Yeah, it's gotta be the Hydro 32s. This one I do like because, I mean, it's a little bit hard to tell from the photo, but there's so much flat surface area. You can tell that this goes towards the back of the aquarium, which the top part goes back because I did use definitely mortar or glue. But there's a lot of surface area for the corals. I can foresee this being an absolutely beautiful SBS tank. I don't know what Alex's plan is with this, but if I had to guess, it's going to
SBS.
have some really nice SBS in here because of the rock layout. Type of coral will determine how you want to set
Does
up
he
your
have
rock.
more photos of it online? Do you know? Because I'm like, is he going bare bottom?
I think Alex is, I think he's pretty regular in the group.
Yeah.
So do check
I'm just
out.
looking. I'm like, I wonder if he's putting.
You can
sand
search
on
the group for someone's name. So check out, look at it and see if he's done some more updates on this aquarium.
it. Great looking scape though.
All right, and a little fad that's going on is the floating reef. And I've done this really nice. And of course it looks super weird before you put any coral and stuff on it because it's just kind of rock just chilling there. So floating reef is, there is a shelf that is either adhered to the back wall or hung on it, which gives like a little platform. And from there you build up your rock. And what happens is you now have, once you have coral and stuff on here, is this floating scape with coral in it, and the bottom completely is untouched. It gives a really, really cool effect.
Yeah, there's some really unique aquascapes using this method. I
Yeah.
think you can even buy those things. There's a couple of acrylic guys that do those.
Yeah, look on like YouTube. There's a lot of people that do videos on those. We don't have a ton of them in our group, which is why I grabbed this one because, it is a different way to do it. Generally, it's done with nanos. But, look up the options, and it does look, when it's actually like filled in with coral and growing, looks really, really cool.
Yep. So again, I do want to remind you guys, I think, Keenan, there's a lot of questions coming in, right?
Yeah, I've thrown them in throughout the thing.
Yeah.
A lot of them are, repeating, and there's people on the stream that are answering them, so thank you guys.
Okay,
Yeah, so
great.
I just want to mention we are giving away $200 gift cards here shortly. If you haven't already, smash that like button. Are you smashing the like button?
I don't even have YouTube working. I've been like trying to get it doing
Smash
things.
the like button. I see, I don't know if it's updating live, but I don't see as many likes as there are people in here.
This seems to be a regular
And
problem.
it is mandatory to smash that like button.
It really costs you nothing to just
only,
go beep.
only because we appreciate you guys so much.
And it helps us out a lot by you liking. And it's so easy.
Yes.
Just takes one little click.
Got one more tank to show you, but here's a question first.
Should we put any extra rock in the sump?
So it depends. Now, there's a lot of like minimalist aquascaping out there where it's like obviously not enough rock into the display. I think as far as there used to be this pound per gallon rule, which is completely out the window. That's a very old school method because your surface area isn't dependent on how many pounds you have. It depends on the type of rock. So back in the day, like base rock or Fiji rock were these big boulders, and this piece could weigh 10 pounds for this little thing. but because it's so dense, the surface area is not that good, even though you have 10 pounds. Whereas you could have, like, say, a piece of marker rock or a piece of CaribSea rock, which is 4 pounds, but this big, and has so much more surface area. And the surface area is where the biological good bacteria lives. So it's not really good. There's no good rule of thumb. It doesn't hurt to have some more rock down there or biobricks or something that gives more biological. More biological just means more surface area for good bacteria, more stability in your aquarium, higher fish load, that kind of stuff.
That's one.
This one's gonna be cool. I don't have a picture of it in an aquarium. I would love to see this one. Who is it?
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne, okay. Cheyenne, I know you're in the group regularly. I don't know if you watch the show, but I do know the name pretty good. I want to see the updated pictures of this.
I see some secret pumps in the background.
He is spying on your goods
those
over
might
there.
be some heaters in the brown boxes.
All right, so, yeah,
And
there's
a
got to be
printer.
probably and a painting.
We're not looking at your aquascape. We're looking at your surroundings.
Just want to like start making like assumptions about people. No, this one here, I don't know. We were talking about this one actually earlier. I don't know what type of rock this is because it has a lot of little tiny like round flat areas, and I've seen it, but I can't remember the name of the brand that does this.
Yeah. Put in the comments if you know what it is.
This one, I predict, if I had to, is either SBS, or I think because of maybe the closeness of everything, this would be amazing for euphyllias.
Yeah.
This would be like perfect little space spots for all your torches and hammers and stuff like that, and have a really, really nice flowy aquarium. We're gonna need to like search up and see what this one's being stocked with.
Yeah, we need to get up to speed on the rock industry.
We always do CaribSea. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I love some of these, but the purple color and like the shapes in the arches,
Honestly,
hands
that's what
down,
sells it for
I
me
don't
every
really
time.
want to touch any other rock, and we can use any rock, whatever.
We've used every type of rock. Both of us, even in us being in the industry for so long, we've used them all, and CaribSea wins it for me every time.
Yeah.
Primarily because of the color
Right.
it already has.
And it does. And every one that we set up with the CaribSea, like, you know, it does cycle and establish faster because there is all this dormant bacteria. There's tons of surface area. And, you know, with base rock, and nothing against any of those other brands at all, is you're going to go through so many ugly phases. It doesn't matter how good you keep your aquarium. There's going to be the brown phase. There's going to be then the green phase. There's going to be hair algae. Because when coralline grows in, or a coralline type substance, it blocks that surface from being a good area for the bad algae to grow.
Yeah.
I will tell you that almost any of the rocks in the aquariums that we set up with the CaribSea never had nuisance algae on the rock.
Right.
So
Boom.
things to consider.
Sorry. Scaring the guys back in the booth. The debate, rock on the glass or on the sand? Oh, this is a good one for
Man,
Jess. She
y'all
loves this one.
They love to yell at me for this one. I'm afraid of it because next week I'm doing an Aquascape video and y'all are going to yell at me.
It came through like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
You can administer it quickly.
All right. Sand down, then rock, unless it's a massive aquarium that I have to climb into to put the rock, and then I want sand on my feet. Because all you gotta do when it's 1 inch, you just push it down a little bit. It doesn't need to be in full contact. It's rested enough. If you have big burrowing gobies, you're gonna need a really deep sand bed anyway, and then that's a different story. But for a standard 1 inch sand bed, sand, rock, more stable, easier to set up.
And I think the key term there is it's a 1 inch sand bed, right?
Right, it's not collapsing
You're
anywhere.
not, it's not like falling down like 6 inches through this like big burrow.
Like I said, if you got a 3 or 4 inch sand bed, yeah, for sure, get that rock down first because
But
that's
also
a
you
whole
press
nother
it down
scenario.
into it, right?
Yeah, we
so
push
like
the
it's
bound.
not even an inch.
No.
Yeah. There you go. Can I have a refugium with macroalgae and fish or shrimp, and for filtration, rock, sand, and filter media?
Huh?
A what?
I have a refugium with macroalgae and fish or shrimp, and for filtration, rock, sand, and filter media. That sounds about right. Any of our most of our sump systems have a refugium area, or you can make one up, and then usually like filter socks to polish the water, Filter media is like carbon. You remove once a month. Phosphate media as needed. Refugium's going to do a lot of the work for you, though.
My water box was scratched on the inside by someone.
Oh.
Don't know if I can have it buffed out.
Yeah, so I mean, there's glass buffing kits on the market. I can't vouch for any of them. I cannot give you a recommendation. But there are. But you are going to have to drain your aquarium. And it is a process. So definitely possible. But it's not like, oh, my tank is a full-blown reef. I just want to buff these out. It's not going to be that easy.
Yeah. I feel like I should have had to buff a scratch out in a glass aquarium before, but because we set up and break down so many tanks, we've never had to do it.
Honestly, like most of the time, like unless someone gouged it so bad across the front pane and like it's just takes completely away from it, which is very hard to do in glass to make that big of a scratch.
Yeah.
I've never done it, even with when I ran maintenance and aquarium stores and stuff like that. For customer tanks, we never did that because you break down the aquarium, you have to completely like dry it out and have that area. So like there's a lot involved. It has to be really, really bad.
Yeah, and the reality is when you have a tank set up long enough, it's gonna get scratched.
You're gonna scratch it.
It just depends on how much it bothers you, you know. But
Yeah.
you can there's precautions that you can take. We have a lot of videos about that, you know, with magnet cleaners and stuff. Precautions you can take with not scratching your aquarium. But again, the longer it's set up, the more chances that you're going to get a scratch. Doesn't matter if it's acrylic or if it's glass.
Yep, it would need to be an extremely large scratch across main viewing pane for me to take on the work that it would do to buff that out.
Yeah.
Or probably I would just say buy a new tank.
Yeah.
Might be easier
The
just to
trouble
buy a
that
new
it's
tank
worth.
and transfer
Yeah.
everything over and then just be
Yeah.
done with it, depending on your situation.
That's it. Ready for winter.
All right,
Who wants to win a gift card?
two gift
You got
cards.
some winners already? You ready to
All right,
roll?
we ready?
Ready to roll.
All right, I
right.
got 2 out of $100 Waterbox gift cards. Winner is... Nope, we're behind.
All right, I can't pronounce that.
Segregory?
Segori,
Segori.
and Martin. Congratulations, you guys.
Woo!
Email winners@waterboxaquariums.com. They will collect your information, verify your winnings, and email
Ask
them
for
over
Social
to you.
Security and
Yeah,
driver's
yeah,
license.
we will require a full
Credit card
background
info.
check and everything.
Just kidding. Just email. We'll get you a gift card tomorrow because it's end of day. We'll get that sent over to you. And okay, so all this talk about aquascaping, all this inspiration that we've pulled from the group. If you're not a member, please go join because you're missing out on some beautiful aquarium setup.
Again, over 20,000 people in that group. It's a huge resource, and it's a friendly. That's one of the things I love.
Yes.
About it. It's a very friendly resource. It's not. Everyone is great in there, so definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, a lot of animal and other groups are just very intense. I'm in a lot of different groups.
Yeah, this one's
and
great.
this one's very, very kind and helpful.
That's because if you're mean, I love the ban button.
We don't allow no bullies in here. So all this next week is aquascaping of the Marine X 110, and we're gonna do a whole video, and it's gonna show like the planning, the setup, you know, and kind of the processes of deciding. Because the 90.3 that's here in the office with the Plus Edition is moving into the 110.4 as a permanent fixture in the studio.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, you guys, if you don't know and you haven't been tuning in, we have a brand new studio. There's going to be a ton of educational videos, builds, live streams, tons of really great content, whether you're a freshwater aquarium keeper, a saltwater, a reef, whatever. We got all of it for you. So
This year
definitely,
is jamming.
yeah. So definitely subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of cool stuff coming for you. We appreciate you being here as always. So
We'll see you next week.